Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Kickoff, and welcome back to the last episode of the Rugby World Cup edition. And I've got here with me, John. Hello, mate.
I'm good. Hello, how you
Good,
doing?
good, mate. Thank you for coming today,
Of course, thank you for having me.
John. I wanted to start asking you, like, did you think like New Zealand and South Africa would be the teams that they were going to play the final today?
No. My prediction was France, South Africa.
France, South Africa. Okay.
I've always been a fan of the French, and I thought playing at home with the likes of Dupont, obviously before Entermax ACR injury, Olivon, Thomas Ramos, Damien Penaud, in my opinion, best winger in the world as well. At home, I think if I was a betting man, I thought that they were going to be the team that sort of get to the final. South Africa, I'm not surprised they're in the final. Innovators, they're going to the final with a 7-1 split. They've had a 6-2 split. They have Quagga Smith as a centre backline cover today. So I'm not surprised by South Africa. I think seeing New Zealand, I don't have to talk about New Zealand, that got absolutely battered in Twickenham in August. Now they're in the final, and I think they're playing with they're wounded. They're playing with, you can see in that team, they're playing with a lot of pain, and a hurt lion is a dangerous lion.
Why do you think is that? Like, New Zealand, during the World Cup started to grow because,
Yeah.
the opening game against France, they lost and France won, really well. Why do you think they could grow, and what do you think France and also Ireland, left to do on the games that they lost in the
Yeah.
quarterfinals?
I think with New Zealand, they were playing, and if you look at that squad, 9 of that team played in the semi-final that lost to England in 2019. So for New Zealand, they knew a lot of players are retiring. This is their last World Cup. A lot of them know like this will define their legacy as an All Black.
Yeah.
So they lost France, and they kind of knew like if we lose, that's it. Like we'll be known as the team that
Yeah.
the generation of players that didn't win anything, and some of these players came from the 2011, 2015. Look at Simon Whitelock. He's been to 3 World Cup finals or something ridiculous. Has opportunity to be the first player to win 3 World Cups.
If they do.
If they do, if they do today. So that's that. They've grown into the tournament, and like I said, they're a hurt animal, like they're a hurt lion. So a hurt lion is a dangerous lion. Compared to France and Ireland, I think Ireland were too good for too long, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
So being that good for nearly 2 years is unprecedented.
Yeah, but people said that Ireland team was the best Ireland team in history, and I think they were demonstrating that before the World Cup, and they hammered South Africa, Scotland, and they won the group like, I'm not gonna say easy, but like really good, and man, they have a ghost on the
Yeah.
quarterfinals. But the thing is, also, if you look at the big map, we've got South Africa against New Zealand. They both won 3 times the World Cup, and the one he wins, the ones that wins today will be the 4th one. Why do you think it's much different between the South and the North? Because in history, it's between
England.
South Africa, New Zealand, and Australia,
Yeah.
but especially South Africa and New Zealand.
Yeah.
Why do you think it's that much difference?
I think it just looks to the quality of players that are coming through and the way that sort of the game's evolved, and New Zealand and South Africa have been at the forefront of the evolution of rugby. I think when we look at the Northern Hemisphere, until about France in the last 2-3 years, we've been sort of stuck in our ways, the way that we want to play. Like fundamentally, England, Wales, Ireland play a very similar game. But if you look at New Zealand, South Africa, New Zealand are a team that on counter attack can hurt you.
Yeah.
They built a team that's ready to loose ball counter attack in their own 22. Yeah, they want 7 points. then South Africa have got arguably the best pack in the world, and they pride themselves by developing forwards who are the best forwards in the world, 1 to 8, and I was going to say 16 through to 20 or 16 through to 19, but it's changing now.
Yeah, it is.
So I think that's the two things that New Zealand and South Africa have done well. Of course, you've got Australia, who are in a little bit of a transition and trying to find their identity again. But if they sort of sort out their coaching situation, sort out their identity, again, they'll be back in it because they produce very good athletes for the game.
Yeah, so and how do you think South Africa could have won the semi-final game against England? Because England dominated, I would say, 70 minutes of the game, and they dominated in every aspect: the breakdown, the maul, the line out, the kicking game, every aspect. And South Africa changed, 100 Pollard came in on the minute 30, even before the half time.
Yeah.
How do you think, or how important do you think is the impact of the bench in the South Africa team?
You just have to look at the team they've gone with today. 7-1 split in a World Cup final tells you everything about the depth and the style of rugby they want to play. And to touch upon Andre Pollard last week, coming on the 30th minute, at the end of the day, look at the conditions. Pollard and Libbok play two different styles of rugby. Libbok wants to play fast, free-flowing, is much more creative. And what you get with that is you sacrifice a little bit more of the game management and the kicking. Andre Pollard, not necessarily as creative, but the kick game, the territory game, points, he'll give you that. And the forecast for today is rain.
Yeah.
And they said, right, today's not the day for Libbok rugby. It's just not going to work in these conditions. Not that Saturday was an anomaly. You look at the game against Scotland, the pool stages, Manu Libbok looked fantastic there. It's a call the coaching staff have made, and they said, you know what, conditions, how are we going to get into the All Blacks? It's just not the game for Libbok. Yeah,
I agree, but really surprised me that he's not even on the bench.
Yeah.
If you look at the bench for today, there is all forwards and just Willie Leroux as a back. And it's something that I need to give to Libbok is he bring to the Springboks, because before we used to know the Springboks as an aggressive team that they were, they go really frontal and they just try to break you. Doesn't matter if it's into the space or through you, basically. But now with Libbok, they just start to play, as you said, like really fast and just basically try to open the field all the time.
Exactly.
Like very similar to New Zealand. But if we go to the New Zealand side, New Zealand won, and just unfortunately for us, for Argentinians, they hammer us, mate.
Yeah,
7 tries.
Will Jordan hat trick.
But he got my history today.
Yeah.
But which team do you think arrives better into the final? South Africa with the game against England, having that they had already that shitty game, or New Zealand because they are more like rest, if you want to call it like that.
Yeah. It's a hard one, and I think there's two ways to look at it. With South Africa, they've had their bad games. I have a theory. I don't know. You can
go on.
I'm not a sports psychologist, but all the teams that the top 4 in the World Cup, I believe they were going to have one amazing game and they was going to have one bad game. You just don't want your bad game to come in the knockout stages.
Correct.
So New Zealand had their bad game against France. South Africa had their bad game against England. Luckily for England and for South Africa's sake, they managed to scrape through. I would say, I think they go into the World Cup about even now. I think New Zealand have grown through the World Cup, just improving. Their result against Ireland, the performance they put in against Argentina, some of the pool stages results. So you only look at like the Namibia game, the Italy game, like they're going for the jugular for teams, and they start blistering quick. They like to get that scoreboard racked up very, very quickly.
Yeah.
South Africa, on the other hand, again, they like to squeeze games. They want it to be an arm wrestle. And I think they've had their one really good game against France in the quarterfinal, and they've had a poor game against England. They've got through that. It's not going to happen again. So I think they're going about, it's about neck and neck now. I don't think there's a clear favourite anymore.
Yeah, I agree. And I think also for the South Africa side, Pollard bring all the experience. Also, for the last World Cup that they won it against England, like, I'm not gonna say easy, but
It
like
was comfortable in the
they
end.
was comfortable.
Yeah.
Completely agree. How crucial do you think will be the kicking game?
Yeah, it's going to be, with the weather that's been predicted today, it's probably going to define who wins the game. And we're talking kicking out of hand, kicking off the tee. Like I mentioned earlier, New Zealand like to start fast, hard and fast. They want to get the scoreboard ticking quickly. I don't think they're going to be able to play as free-flowing of a game as they would have liked. They're going to have to sort of get into a little bit of an arm wrestle with South Africa within the kicks. Bear in mind, they've got a back three of Mike Talia, Will Jordan, Bowden Barrett. You know Bowden Barrett can kick. He can kick well. He likes his spiral bombs.
Long distance as well.
He'll give Damien Wilmaz lots of spirals to catch. On the flip side, Damien Wilmaz will kick long as well. Pollard will kick long, and one thing about Pollard that makes him such a threat is if New Zealand start committing penalties in and around that halfway line, he will look to post. He will look to sort of kick him and start punishing them. So it's gonna be where the game's won and lost, in my opinion.
Yeah, and also, if you can tell me a weakness of each team, because we've seen, we're saying South Africa before, it was dominated by England, but they managed to turn it over. But if you go to the New Zealand side, I don't think they didn't demonstrate a weakness.
If I was to start with New Zealand, I like Geordie Barrett a lot. I don't believe he's a 12. I think it's been an area since the centres, since Marnonu left the game, and I need to get, which I think is Conrad Smith. There's three Smith. I believe that was the other centre with him. Once they sort of retired and hung up the All Blacks jersey, Rico Ioane came onto the scene. Some people think he's actually a winger. The 12 jersey has really been a problem area for the All Blacks. They've had likes of Antonella Brown, Roger Tuivasa-Sheck before he went back to NRL. Like, they've been trying to sort of work out who their next 12 is. I like him. I think Geordie Barrett is as good of a 12 as Damien Dialindi. No. And I think if I was South Africa, I'll be looking to see if I can get a lot of purchase within the centre channel of set play. Can we get Geordie Barrett to make poor defensive reads, turn his hips? That'll be the area I'll be targeting.
So in your opinion, that's the channel that South Africa needs to attack?
Yeah. I'll be saying, like, can we make Geordie Barrett make bad defensive reads off set piece?
Yeah.
That'll be the area I'll be seeing, like, see what we can do there and see what what pictures he will show us. With South Africa, I think whilst we talk a lot about their bench, it's their back line in terms of if they pick up injuries, if they lose one or two bodies early on in the game. Yes, they got Kwagga Smith who will just jump into the centre channel, but they got no scrum half. Yes, they talk about in the pre-match press conference, they talked about Cheslin Colby. He's done the sweeper role within seven.
Yeah, but it's not the same.
It's just fundamentally not the same.
Yeah.
Is Cheslin Colby going to give you a box kick?
Yeah, of course. And also Faf loves to be in the kitchen, mate.
Yeah.
He loves to be there. If you see in the semi-final, he goes so much clutch with Joe Marler.
He wants to be in the mix of it.
Like, you're a scrum half, mate.
Exactly. He'll throw his shoulder in there. He wants to be in the rough of it, which is good, and it's great. But let's say if he picks up a niggle in the 20th minute, are you confident enough in Cheslin Colby to give you an hour at scrum half?
Yeah.
What happens if you take a knock in the black line? Are you happy for Kwagga Smith to give you 40 minutes as a centre? I don't know. That'll be the weakness. Is like 7-1 is a ridiculous thing to do in the final. If it pays off and it's quite clear the sort of tactics South Africa go on, they want to just bully New Zealand off the park. Facts. They don't want to play any rugby. They're just going to run them into the ground.
The back rows will be another huge battle as well. I think the one who wins that battle, I think will win the game.
Yeah.
Definitely. And who are you cheering for?
I think I would like South Africa to win.
Why?
The reason why is with everything sort of going on in South Africa, when they win, it's good for world rugby
And the country.
and the country. It brings the country together, brings calm, brings peace. New Zealand, they've been a dominant force for so long, and it's tough. But I think I want South Africa to win. If South Africa wins, Elspeth lifts the trophy, Elspeth gets World Player of the Year. I think he deserves it based on that. So that's the reason why I would want South Africa.
South Africa, okay. And by how far?
I have said a 25-19.
Oh, very close game.
Yeah, it's going to be an arm wrestle, and the last sort of 6-7 minutes of that game is going to be tight. I think it's going to be one of them moments where who blinks first. It's going to be tight.
Okay, if you go for South Africa, I'm going for New Zealand. And I would say, because, you said 25-19, a very close game, but also many points will be scored. Like, if you think it will be like that, I think it will be more like 9-6, or I think it will be everything on the kicking game. Even if it will rain, I don't think. Hopefully, yes. As a supporter of the sport,
Rugby fans,
exactly. You want to see some tries, in a rugby final.
Exactly.
But I don't know. I think it will be much closer game and not really many points.
Yeah.
And I think everything will be in terms of kicking to the post or drop goals.
Yeah.
Something like that. What do you think about the referees? Because it's been so many yellow cards, to over-review during that 10 minutes period. But why do you think it's that, rather than just, if for example, it was, a head contact, high level of danger, it's not red card straight away. Why do you think it's that?
With those sort of yellows and red cards, I'll give you a stat. By the pool stages, the most number of cards had been given out ever in the World Cup by the end of the pool stages, because they're so hot on the high shots, dangerous play, which is good. We want to look after the players. We want to be able to sort of play the game and have a life outside of the game. But sometimes I'm looking at it as a player and I'm just a bit like, what do you want the player to do at this point? As in, like, you have to accept just some collisions will just happen in the run of the game. If everything's just yellows and reds, you will just create a game where like the contact is removed, or there's not as many contacts, or everyone's going to be wary of it. Why do I think so many have gone to bunker review instead of just straight yellows or straight red? The referees are under so much pressure now.
Yeah, true.
The scrutiny that they're on has never been so high. Social media, reviews, what's the other one they have after games? They can 48 hours after the game, they can retrospectively give yellow and red cards now, and referees are just under so much pressure and they can't see everything.
Yeah. So
they just go, right, yellow card, and right, if let TMO deal with it.
So do you think they try to play safe?
Yeah.
Basically.
They're just if not, I'll just
and
give
put
it
the pressure on the TMO.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
It's a difficult one, to be honest, because, for example, do you remember the game in Namibia, France? I don't know if you watch it. Dupont's injury.
Yeah.
That it was a clear red card.
Easy red card. Why is it a bunker?
Why is it yellow?
Why is it a bunker review?
Exactly.
It's a clear red, and again, it's because the referees are scared to get it wrong. Because
Yeah,
if they
but
get
on a
it wrong-
normal test match, you would go for a red card.
yeah, you see it. It's clear as day. It's one of the easiest red cards I've seen this tournament, and they've gone bunker review. It's just a waste of time.
Yeah, totally agree, mate. But yeah, mate. Last thing before we finish, how can people come find you if they want to follow you?
Instagram is the best place to find me. I am fairly active there. John Okafor __. Same with TikTok. That's where I sort of do my thing. That's where you probably see some stuff with Rugby Pass and all that stuff. So it's
Nice,
good fun.
nice.
Yeah, that's where you can find me.
Good, mate. Thank you very much for coming today.
Great to have
Really
you.
appreciate it.
Great having me. Thank you.
See you next time, guys.